Sean, Zelensky blows up a Russian ship with a missile. It's a big one. It's almost 20 foot long. It's 4,000 pounds in weight. It's this big at the trunk. How the hell does he get hold of missiles like that?
We don't yet absolutely know, but it sounds like a Storm Shadow missile that was used, which of course the Brits have given to Zelensky, and it's an incredibly capable missile. What's fascinating though about the whole weapons debate, which is very topical at the moment, is that, for example, Ukraine is trying to defend itself from the Russian missile attacks. So it's got air defense missiles that go up against them. If you provided Ukraine with the best air defense missiles that we can provide, they would shoot down all the Russian missiles. Russia would now do what we used to do in the Cold War and go, right, we need to have a slightly more capable missile than this, and we'll work out how to combat our air defense missiles and therefore get through them. So what? They're part of our national defense. So if you expose your full capability in a war like this, the danger is it compromises your own national defense. And that's one of the reasons why the West is very reluctant to give modern missiles, modern capability to Ukraine. So that segues back to your question about the Storm Shadow. Surely that's an amazingly capable missile, $2 million a pop, I think they're meant to be. So how was it that we were able to give Ukraine that? Because it flies 250 miles, Mach 0.8. It's a very capable missile. Well, part of the reason behind that is that missile is actually 30 years old. So whilst it's very fast, very capable, programmable, it flies at low level, flies a route, can fly medium level, air launched, takes a bit of carrying. So the Ukrainians had to do some very fast work to try and get this thing fitted, because, as you said, it's close to 4,000 pounds. Most of the bombs we used to carry are 1,000 pounds, 4 times the weight. So if you put it onto a jet, the jet's going to struggle to carry it, let alone launch this thing. Luckily, I don't suppose they had to go through the full gamut of safety checks, because it's going to war, just let's get it fired. But if you look at the technology involved, even though it's getting through and blowing up targets, do you remember what your mobile phone was, 30 years ago? That's the level of technology. Were there mobile phones around? They were actually bricks. They weren't phones. They were used to make phone calls because you didn't have any data on them, stuff like that.
Remember we talked about the Hamas attack on Israel, and they basically overwhelmed with volume the Israeli Iron Dome defense system. Well, $2 million a pop for a single missile is a lot. But actually, apparently, Zelensky had to throw 3, 4, 5 missiles at that ship to sink it. And the reason is some of them were going to be shot down. So that's $10 million. That's big.
It is big, but again, there's some really interesting accounting here. Is Ukraine being charged $2 million a pop for the missiles we give them? And I think this is what's fascinating about some of the weapons deals that are being done. So simple maths at the moment. I think we bought about 1,000 of those missiles when they were made. So $2 million a pop or so at the time. So we do the maths, $2 billion worth of missiles. We've used about 150 of them over the years. They were going through an upgrade program most recently. I think it was about 2017, because to get the technology moved up so they were still relevant, that they could actually be more credible and capable in a modern battlefield. But we weren't going to upgrade all of them. Now, I'm speculating now to numbers, but informed sources talk around about 300 missiles is probably what we need for our national capability. So you do the maths, we had 550 missiles left over. Now, interestingly, first of all, you have to pay for them to be stored and maintained. Secondly, if you want to decommission them, which is effectively what we want to do, you pay industry quite a lot of money to do that.
So it's cheaper to give them away.
Correct. Give them away, get them used. They now get used in anger. Have they cost us the purchase price to give them to Ukraine? Or have they saved us money that we would otherwise have spent maintaining them or disposing of them? And so some really interesting maths around the capability of giving older equipment to the Ukraine, and it's also, but it's very much about protecting our national capability because the technology is our asymmetric advantage. You do not want to give that away in a war like
to the
this.
opposition. Yeah, it sounds like a sort of useful, weird logic.
Well, that's
Economically.
why economically, yeah.